Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you are all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware anytime we put new content on. As always, we'd like to thank our channel sponsors, Untuckit. Check them out in the description below. Today's guest, I'm looking forward to today. We've had lots of email correspondence between the two of us, so I'm looking forward to this. It's Mark Brown. Hi Mark, how are you?
Hi Russ, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. Just about to go back into tier 3, aren't we? So London, Essex are. So
I've heard,
yeah. So it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. How have you been in this weird world we live in, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, we're up in Scotland now. We've moved away from most of our friends and family who are in Kent. So we've been up in Scotland now for 9 years. So we're used to the digital Christmases anyway. But
yeah,
what can you do?
Nothing you can do, is there? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do apart from just sit there and eat mince pies. That's all. That's all I plan to do. Anyway, that's all I plan to do. That sounds like a great plan, doesn't it? It sounds like the best thing to do. Yeah, it's just it's rubbish, but as you said, the flip side is if we didn't do it, there'd be a lot worse, isn't it? So it's what it is, and you know, God, you know, think of people before and they've had to take sufferings. Our suffering is you have to stay in. You know what I mean? It's like in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, is it? So it's just frustrating, but hey ho. Hopefully, it means that we get out of it a lot quicker, and then into the new year we can start looking forward to, you know, a nice Christmas next year, maybe. So
better days to come, Russ, I'm sure.
They're better days to come, but West Ham are keeping us entertained, so it's not a bad thing.
They're doing their bit to keep their spirits up. Got to give them credit.
They certainly are. They certainly are doing their bit. I'm very optimistic about this season, and obviously, unfortunately, you know, because of when lockdown, then tier 3 are going back in. People who are going to the Crystal Palace match on Wednesday now can't go to the Crystal Palace match on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But we played better when there was no fans there, so hopefully that's a good sign.
Well, this is it. This is it. I do wonder how it would have been for the players, given the start, given the first couple of games. It might have been toxic there. So
yeah, well, particularly after the Newcastle game, wasn't it? So it wasn't a great game at all. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Obviously, they turned it around against Leeds on Friday night, which was good, and obviously no fans there as well. So we'll see. We shall see. But yes, I'm quietly looking. Although Palace played quite well on the weekend. See, Palace are one of those teams, I think, who and actually with Fulham as well. You know, they've got a tight ground, a small ground. So 2,000 fans in Selhurst Park or in Craven Cottage makes a big difference. And so it was no surprise that they both put in really strong performances, I think, at the weekend. And obviously, unfortunately, they're not going to have that for at least a few weeks, at least now. And I don't think it's any I don't think it's any coincidence when you look at the table, the guys who aren't performing well are the guys like the West Broms, the Sheffield Uniteds, the Burnleys, although Burnley did win the other day. But traditionally they have very tight grounds, haven't they? Where fans are on top of you, a bit like the old Upton Park, and you know, and they're not obviously performing very well. And I think there's something in that, definitely. But who are we to judge? Who are we to judge, Mark? But as long as the boys keep doing the stuff, I'm happy to watch it. I think a lot of people. I'm obviously not watching at the state. I'm watching at the stadiums. We'll still be pressing the buttons and playing the music on Wednesday, even if there's no one there. But I think a lot of people are happy to watch it from home if the boys are playing well, basically, isn't it? So
that's it. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And so no, it's a good feeling around West Ham at the moment. It's just it's enjoyable, particularly obviously when you see like Arsenal fan TV and stuff like that implode, yesterday and today. It's nice for us to sort of sit back and sort of go, ha for once, because it never happens with us. Not in modern times that I can remember, but no, it's all good, man. It's all good, and so I'm looking forward to Wednesday. So I think we're going to put a performance in on Wednesday. I really do. I just think fingers crossed. We can only hope, can't we? We can only hope. It is high, and it's really high, isn't it? When it's quite sad it's quite impressive when you think, you know, when obviously we lost to Man United, but we're all sort of assuming we're going to turn them over. You know, what? When did this happen? But no, it's all good. So, Mark, so the first question I always ask people is why is West Ham your club, Mark? Obviously, now you're in Scotland. You know, you're a long way away from London, London Stadium, and formerly Upton Park as well. So, why are you a West Ham fan, Mark? What's your story?
Well, it all started for me around the 1980 Cup final. Family-wise, there was no one really interested in football. It was me that got my family into it, rather than me following my dad, etc. And the reason the 1980 Cup final caught my eye, if you like, was that I had 2 or 3 neighbours and friends, and their dads all had tickets for the matches, and they was off. And there was 3 or 4 houses in the street that were all West Ham fans, and there was one that was an Arsenal fan. So it was the first big game that I've come aware of.
Sure.
So obviously went on to win the game, and Trevor Brooking got the winning goal, and it just all stemmed from there, really. So that was I was 9. So I was 9 at the time of the 1980 Cup final.
So you're a proper glory hunter.
Also made the League Cup. Well, yeah, no, I'll take that. I would have jumped ship. If that was
exactly. Yeah. You would have been a gooner if you won that. Jake, I'm joking. Go carry, mate.
So after that, of course, the 1981 League Cup final come around very quickly. So again, a glory hunter. And then I suppose soon after that, I remember I was on holiday with the family, and we was in a caravan on the south coast somewhere, and I was watching the World Cup qualifier when Trevor Brooking scored a great goal for England against Hungary, and the ball got caught in the stanchion of the goal.
Yeah.
It's quite a famous goal now, and so that all coming up very quickly. And I remember the Christmas of that year, so Christmas 1981. I got Trevor Brooking's autobiography. So again, my interest in West Ham and Trevor Brooking in England's growing. And then in the spring of '82, Bobby Moore did a football night at the local theatre. It was meant to be Trevor Brooking, Bobby Moore, and it was hosted by Kenny Lynch.
Wow!
And my dad got me tickets to go down there. So there wasn't many youngsters in the audience, but there's a few, and of course the youngsters were there to see Trevor Brooking. So I took my autobiography with me, and I was hope to get a photo and get the book signed up. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it on the night, and he was replaced by Jimmy Greaves. Looking back now, so there's Bobby Moore, there's Jimmy Greaves, and me and the youngsters are pig sick that Trevor Brooking wasn't there. But unfortunately, at the time, given that I was still only age 10, Bobby Moore didn't mean a great deal to me. Such a shame that I didn't really appreciate who he was and what he stood for, and at that time. But it's an experience that I never forget. And I also remember at that time, my mum had got into knitting, making her own jumpers, and she made me a West Ham coloured Trevor Brooking jumper, and I wore that on the night of the theatre show. And I remember on the way out, my dad took a photo of me by the sign outside the theatre that said, "Sorry for the inconvenience, but Trevor Brooking can't make it tonight. Jimmy Greaves replaces him." And unbeknown to me, my dad had written after Trevor Brooking afterwards and just said, that of course we understand that things can get cancelled and we understand reasons for it, etc. But can we meet you at some point? And Trevor replied to the letter and said that he'd love us to go and meet.
Oh, where's Mark gone?
We took him up on the offer, and we went out to my first game at Upton Park, which was in October '82.
Wow!
And the match was against Liverpool. So of course Liverpool were, the team of the '80s, and Souness and Dalglish and Hansen, amongst all the others. And Well, West Ham won 3-1. Sandy Clark scored. Alvin Martin and Jeff Pike, I think, got the goals that day. And then I had a letter from Trevor Brooking, so we had to make our way to the front of the North Bank, show a policeman or steward the letter, and they said, "Yeah, come just jump over," and took us through to the tunnel. And I remember we saw the commentator Brian Moore was down in the tunnel, and he saw my jumper and come over and made a bit of a fuss and had a chat with us while we waited for Trevor Brooking to appear. Trevor come out and spent a bit of time with us, and then introduced us to all the players from both teams as they come out.
Wow.
Afterwards, and there's no going back after that, was there? That was me well and truly.
That's in terms of first games, Mark. That's pretty bloody good. I'll be honest. That ain't a bad first proper game, was it? Really? Oh my goodness! Wow. That's probably our best first game memory. I think, meeting. Actually being personally invited by Trevor Brooking, and meeting all the players, and even meeting Brian Moore as well, man, legend. You know what I mean? So, that's what a good story. What a lovely story, and again, just shows what a class man Trevor is. And what a lovely guy he was to even respond back as well. I mean, nowadays, if you get a response back from a player, you've done well, haven't you? Really, but to personally invite you guys down, that's a great story. That's a good one.
Different times, isn't it? Different times.
Yeah, it is. It's different times. Classy. I mean, it's not like I think to a man that time, that period, they were all classy. They were all class men. And now, unfortunately, you've got some really good players and some lovely players do a lot for stuff like Mark and Dex and stuff like that. They do loads of stuff for charity and things, but you get less of them. And they're sort of cut in the old school mold, aren't they? Mark Noble and Declan Rice, and you could see them being that sort of same era as Trevor Brooking in terms of the way they conduct themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's brilliant. What a great first story. And as you said, then you could not be hooked after that, wouldn't it? I'm being funny. Getting after that, you're in the club. There's no turning back for you, Mark. That's for sure.
Soon after that, we started to go into more and more games. So, of course, at that age, relying on my dad driving us up. But looking back now, I appreciate there's a time where there wasn't that many sort of like 10, 11-year-olds going to football at that time. It wasn't the family environment, of course, that football is today. So looking back, I feel quite not privileged, but quite that. I was able to go, travel up from Kent and go to the West Ham matches. I also remember the first time we went to an away game. My dad took me and two or three of my friends to Hillsborough, and I can't remember what year it was, but it was unfortunately it turned out to be the same day as the Bradford fire. So, so my dad's got 3 or 4 11, 12-year-olds at Hillsborough, and news reports just broadcasting pictures of a football stadium on fire. It put up a wind of some of the mums.
Yeah, I can imagine.
With us, but
totally.
But that was another day that never forget for various reasons.
Yeah, that's not bad. Obviously horrible in sort of the Bradford fires, but again, Hillsborough's a great ground to go to, as a first away game. I loved Hillsborough. It's still a great. I still find it a really cool, a really nice sort of, because it was always one of those sort of really big stadiums. Because they always used to put the semi-finals there, didn't they, and stuff like Villa Park and Hillsborough. It's a great ground. I like going Sheffield actually away, even if it's United or Wednesday. They're cracking home fans. So there's always good banter when we could go away. That was fun. When people could go away to games. But yeah, Sheffield's a good football town. I used to love that. That's not bad. You've done well. First away game, not bad. Hillsborough. I think mine was probably, God, I can't remember my first away game. Oh, I can't remember. It might be even Celtic randomly. No one's ever asked me about my first away game. It might have been Celtic. I didn't go away a lot when I was young, to be honest. For the same reason as you said, it wasn't really the environment for a young lad to go. And my granddad would take me and my brothers to the bowling ground, but wouldn't. He was quite an old bloke, so he wouldn't have driven up to Newcastle or anything like that. So I was probably in my teenage years where I went. But yeah, it would have been probably Celtic in a pre-season friendly. That was eventful. An eventful night in Glasgow. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's taking me back a little bit. That first game, to be honest, Mark. I think it's a very, very cool first game memory to have, mate. That's for sure. This is probably the most unique one I think we've had so far. 250 interviews. So well done. Right, let's go on and talk about your Hammers 11. So everyone we have on the channel basically has to give an 11 based on the players that they've been fortunate enough to see. That's the only rule, but you can pick whoever you want, whatever criteria you want. It doesn't matter. It's your 11, but as long as you've actually seen the players. So, and that could have been, and obviously we say seen the players, but some people obviously they haven't been to so many home games, so it's all whether you've seen them on TV but you've seen them live in some form. I just have to clarify that because some people moan because I haven't changed the rules. Okay. I've just made it a bit more inclusive for our foreign cousins, more particularly. Right, so let's start off between the sticks, Mark. Between the sticks, who have we got?
Okay, so what I've done is rather than draw up a list of my favourite or who I think are the best players, I've drawn up a list based on who I think has gone too soon for various reasons. Players who we remember fondly, maybe didn't make too many appearances, or certainly during the time that I've been supporting West Ham didn't make too many appearances. Yeah. So starting off between the sticks, I've gone for Les Sealey.
Oh yes.
Who clearly West Ham's in his blood.
Yeah.
And he at times appeared to be the full ticket, shall we say. And if he'd been at West Ham for longer, when he was younger, I mean, as much as I love Phil Parkes and Ludo, and I wouldn't replace Les Sealey with them, but can you just imagine a younger Les Sealey being West Ham's number one and what that would have meant to him and the passion.
Yeah, exactly. Funny enough, we've got his son coming on soon. We've got Joe coming on. Which should be a good episode. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, just again gone too soon for the wrong reason. Not like obviously had left the club, but obviously in a mortal sense as well. Yeah, but and obviously, and there was that famous time we played up front against Arsenal. Arsenal. He came on and played. Madison, he was a crazy bloke, wasn't he?
I think he only made including that. I think he only made 4 appearances, but they were all away from home as well. So he never got to play in front of the home crowd, which is a shame.
Yeah, and obviously was goalkeeper coach as well, wasn't he, for a while? Horrible, but yeah, good shout. I like this. This is a good 11. I like this idea, Mark. Right, okay, Les is in. So you carry on, mate.
Before I move on, the only other goalkeeper that I sort of considered for that, as in, gone too soon, was Bernard Lamar.
Roberto. What? So Bernard Lamar. So I thought you said Roberto. Sorry.
Yeah, Roberto. Yeah, put him. No, Lamar.
Yes.
He joined us on loan, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was there for a good few months, but didn't get in the team straight away. Craig Forrest was preferred, and I just think that he could have been another West Ham great if things had been a little bit different.
He had all the right parts, isn't he, to be a West Ham goalkeeper legend. In the same ilk as someone like Adrian, who's a bit like not all there, a bit crazy, a bit mental. He was a perfect West Ham goalkeeper, really. I always used to remember when Lama used to play, because I don't think he showered after the game, because literally he was always in Green Street as everyone literally as the final whistle happened. I swear he literally probably ran in, picked up his tracksuit, jumped in the car, and was wondering why he was always stuck in Green Street, because there's 30,000 people walking through Green Street. And like just have a shower, have a cup of tea, you know, have a glass of, you know, just wait 5 minutes and you'll be, no, it was that first one out, always Bernard Lama. Yeah, because obviously he played for West Ham in that loan spell to get into the 98 squad, I want to say. Was it a 98 squad?
Yeah.
For France. And so, yeah, he was crazy as well, wasn't he? Absolute nutter. Right, okay. Right, let's put Les down. You go for the team as you've got them down, Mark, on your bit of paper. Go on, you go for your next players, mate.
Okay, she'll go right back. And
let's go right
went
back.
for Glen Johnson.
Yeah, nice.
Glen Johnson. Just thought it's such a shame, the circumstances, as he just broke into the team. Yeah. And I think we all knew that there's going to be a fire sale in that summer, selling everybody off. But I don't think anyone saw Glen Johnson being the first one to be sold. Following, he was at Millwall on loan, I think.
Yeah,
I think he went to Millwall on loan before he got into the West Ham team. But we're showing a lot of promise, and not that there's many positives of being relegated, but you thought Glen Johnson will probably be a mainstay of the next season, and of course it wasn't to be. So
it's one of those things where with Glen Johnson, it was that horrible sinking feeling where he started playing and you went, oh, he's brilliant. How long is till he's gone? And there was that sort of period where we saw all these good young players come in. You're like, they're brilliant, but we just put him in the shop window at the moment, aren't we? And it was a shame because he was just, he was so, I think he played, well, I don't know, less than probably 20 games for us, something like that. But it was just made such an impact so early on because he was such a revelation at that right back position. Terrible shame, especially when we moan about selling someone like Grady Diangana for like 18-20 million and we sold him for pennies really compared to what he should have been worth now. But all right, I like this. Go on, camera.
Nobody thought of, it seems that nobody thought of sell-on clauses or anything like that, but hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, there was a young lad called Rio Ferdinand who we seemed to sell for 90 million, and I believe he went for about 30 odd like a season later with no signing on fee. Well done, West Ham. Anyway, right, we'll put Glenn in. Go on, you carry on, Mark.
Okay, left back. I went for Stuart Pearce. We had a few great left backs towards the end of their careers, didn't we? We had Nigel Winterburn as well. I thought did really well for us. But I think I went for Stuart Pearce. I'd like to have seen Stuart Pearce in his prime for West Ham. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't have swapped him for Julian Dix. No way. Julian Dix, one of my heroes. But Stuart Pearce, what he did for England and his passion. Yeah. In fact, if I look back to the boys of '86 season, and I think it's criminal that we didn't build on that squad with one or two players in the summer. And with no disrespect to George Paris and Steve Walford, you'd have thought that left back was one of the positions that may have been looked at that time. And Stuart Pearce playing for Nottingham Forest, West Ham had just finished third in the league. Yeah, it's a shame we didn't push the boat out.
We interviewed. I think it was Mark Ward, and we got his 11. And basically, it was the 85-86 that was starting 11, bar the left back where he put Julian Dix in. And he was like, if we had Julian Dix, we would have won that league. Not. It would have been a question of how many points we would have won the league by, because he same as you. He thought that was a missing piece. No disrespect to Georgie or to Steve, but it was like. That was the missing bit. Everyone else's position was nailed on, but that left back, what could have been? Fit. And obviously Pearcey's again, in the similar to Les when he was at the club, he was part of the coaching setup, and obviously, Stuart and that gang are doing a great job at the backroom staff for us now. So, I don't think it's a coincidence that we've got this cracking backroom staff and we just seem to be a lot stronger as a team. I just think, I think Pearcey's a real influence on that team, especially Nolan as well. So, okie dokie, we'll put Pearcey in. We'll put not the original Psycho, because the original Psycho is David Cross, but the seconds are coming off the Psycho. And he won Ham of the Year, didn't he, Pearcey, in that year? If I remember correctly, he was left back. It was that he said there was that procession. We had him, Nigel Winterburn. We had Chris Powell. Do you remember we had Chris Powell for a bit as well?
Yeah,
we had all these sort of aging left backs, didn't we, for a while? They were just doing their final hurrahs of us. But all right, we'll put Stuart Pearce in. They all did well. I mean, they're all professionals, wasn't it? It was that age where you could probably get away with playing. And no disrespect to any of them, but a slower left back. You know what I mean? It's like we tried it with Zabaleta, and in that last season, bless him, he got found out quite a lot because the pace of the game is so quick now. You couldn't have a Stuart Pearce, last hurrah play at left back in the modern game now, because it's just all based on pace, isn't it, for those wingers? So, all right, we'll put Pearce in. Who's next, Mark?
So the centre backs, I've gone for Slaven Bilic, who was sold too soon.
Yes.
That's the Slaven Bilic that played for West Ham, of course, and not the Slaven Bilic that played for Everton, because that was a bit of a disastrous move, wasn't it?
Different player, wasn't it? Different player, really. Chalk and cheese.
That didn't pay off.
No.
He got sent off twice in his first, I don't know, 5 or 6 games, did he?
Something like that, yeah.
I know it didn't work out well, but there you go. The grass isn't always greener.
Mr. Rice, take note. But yeah, and obviously another one who ended up, managing the club as well. All these people, they've gone too soon, but they come back. It's like a boomerang effect. Yeah. It's not nice to see him not do, see how West Brom are playing at the moment in terms of, no one wants to see your ex-managers doing, particularly as, he had such an affection with the fans, particularly that last season at Upton Park. Him and Julian, it's not nice to see, but what can you do, innit? What can you do? They're not playing very well, West Brom, at the moment. Not getting the points, but Slavier, and it's not looking good. And it's funny. Some people, they were. I mean, nowadays, you see, particularly now, going to Everton was like a sort of bit of a step up, wasn't it? Really, for West Ham. So you can understand why, but nowadays it's more of a, because we're like 6th in the league now. So, even Arsenal's a downward step. So it's, we've got to enjoy it while we can, Mark. I'm not being funny. We're West Ham fans. So yeah, we're always waiting for that speed bump, aren't we? We're always waiting for that. Oh, we know it's going to fuck up, but when's it going to fuck up type thing? And so, yeah.
It's coming, but you're just not sure when.
Just enjoy it. Yes, the car crash will happen. Yes, we know that's going to happen. But until then, let's just enjoy it. That's what I like to do. I've downloaded the Champions League music for next season on my iPad. So I'm all ready. For next season. Yeah, the champions. Fantastic. So yeah, I might play it last game of the season and get sacked. Right. Okay. So Super Slav's in. Who's he going to partner in that centre back position? Then Mark.
Hannu. Now you might talk me up with Tihinen.
Hannu Tihinen. Yeah. Funny enough, he only it's funny because he actually appeared the other day. I did an 11 of people who have only been picked once, and Hannu Tihinen had only been picked once. So lucky I did that then, not before, not after you, because I thought he was an absolute quality player. Hannu. Let's just share. There we go. Hannu. Let me just write that down. He was quality, wasn't he? He was like those guys. We had quite a few players on loan, didn't we, around that time, and he made a real difference. And I think, if I'm right, didn't they want something silly? The club he was playing for wanted something silly in return. It's going to really annoy me now. Who did he go to? He went to us. So I'm just reading.
I don't remember figures. But I remember the club saying that we're not paying what was being asked, but I can't remember what sort of figures were being asked. But
yeah,
he just seemed to have captain material written all over him. And yes. I saw him play a few times at West Ham, but it was the Man United Cup tie that I watched on TV, Di Canio Bartes game, wasn't it? But he was outstanding, and it's just I think I read that he's won 2 league championships in 2 different countries, and that he's captained pretty much all the teams he's played for.
Wow.
Yeah, he's obviously just solid player.
Yeah, I was just looking now. He went to Anderlecht after West Ham on loan, and so then he won the 2 championships there, and then he went to Zurich and won 2 championships there as well. So there you go. I always remember him very, very fondly because he was obviously Finnish, and I randomly used to my old job used to go to Finland quite a lot for one of our clients, and they were really into football, and so because obviously I only knew about 2 Finnish players. One was Hannu Tihinen and the other one was Jari Littman, and that was it. That was all I could remember in terms of. But then there was Mikael Forsell as well, the 3 players. But no, he was solid. And if I remember, I think they wanted something. It was Viking. I think his original team was, and I think it was something like 7 or 8 million. Someone will quite. Kent Hammers will text in the thing. We'll put a comment and tell me how much it was. But I think it was about 7 or 8 million, and we wouldn't pay it. And I think we ended up buying Stimac instead. I want to say Igor Stimac maybe, and someone else. Yeah, but he was quality, and he was part of that team that beat Man United, wasn't he as well? In like this, it was like a blue shirt. It wasn't this shirt, but it was like they had the blue one with the collar and the Dr. Martens. Yeah, right. I remember. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I don't remember seasons, but I remember shirts, and I remember he was in a blue Dr. Martens collared shirt. That's it. There we go. Hannu's in. Yeah. That's a solid back 4. That is a solid back 4. In it, not gonna get much change out of that back 4. That's for sure. It's looking good. Right, carry on, Mark. Who's next?
Okay, so right midfield, and this is someone else who I think we missed out on earlier in his career than when he did sign. And again, we wouldn't pay the fee, and I think it was peanuts, really. But Rob Lee. And nothing will convince me that he wouldn't have joined West Ham at the time that he went to Newcastle if we'd matched the fee. I don't know if they were talking about 750,000 or something. I don't know. But the difference in what West Ham were prepared to pay and what they wanted, and that's a shame we didn't get Rob Lee at that time.
Yeah,
we went up to Newcastle.
And then we unfortunately got him towards the end of his career, really, didn't we? And so it happens, doesn't it? It happens. It always seems that players bookend their career at West Ham. It's either, someone like, I don't know, Glen Johnson, or it's someone like Stuart Pearce. You don't get the one in their pomp, do you? You don't get that. Very rarely do you get players who are who we buy when they're in their prime. And Rob Lee, obviously, massive West Ham fan as well. And it's a shame. And obviously he had Elliot and Ollie as well. His sons, top guy. Hopefully we get him on soon, actually. Right, okay, Rob Lee is in. Who is next then, Mark?
So, left midfield, did consider Dimitri Payet as sold too soon, but I didn't want to go there. And again, this is based on his reputation more than anything that we saw in his short period of time. But Paulo Futre on the left wing.
Oh, Paulo Futre. Let me type this one in because he's only appeared once as well. Paulo Futre. Oh dear. Now he was as the kids would say now, he was a baller, wasn't he? Really, that came with a huge pedigree, didn't he? Huge pedigree. And I think he only played 9 times for us, I believe. It's only because I've been doing a quiz soon, and I looked up that. I think he only played 9 times for us.
I've got
it write it down. 9. That's 1 point. That's 1 point you get, Mark, on Thursday. And then there was the thing with, was it the Arsenal game that he signed? He refused to play because he'd be given the 16 shirt, not the 10, and then he didn't. Then he left. He just left, and then Monks gave him the shirt for a fortnight in his villa or something like that. Brilliant.
That's the story, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a story that Steve Jones, because he's only been picked in one more side, I remember, and that was Steve Jones's side, Jonah, and he picked him because of the story when they were doing pre-season running at Hainault Forest, like they did every season, and this limousine pulls up, and the sort of the window creeps down, and this sort of cigarette, all this like cigarette smoke comes out, like a cigarello, and the chauffeur opens the door, and it's Futre already in his shorts, and he's got his shorts on, he's got his zip up top. Like flicks his fag out, he runs for about 15 minutes, jumps back in the car, buggers off, and that's why he picked him, just for the sheer audacity of the man. But again, what a player he could have been, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He was and obviously you see how skillful he was, and the career he had at Atletico Madrid and stuff like that. Yeah, we've had a lot of them, haven't we? Had a lot of them who just promised so much, but just didn't deliver for some reason. All in the same era, it seems, as well. we're in the Redknapp era, it seems, isn't it?
I think the match was Southampton at home, and it was on Match of the Day as well, where Futre put in a virtuoso performance and just showed us what could have been, and but it's a shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame.
Right.
It is right. Okay, but we got another Paulo after that, so it was all right. Right, so we'll put Paulo Futre in. Who is next then, Mark?
Javier Mascherano holding the goal for us.
Do you know what? This is a great team, because I think literally this is basically that the team I put together for the teams that haven't been picked team, because Mascherano haven't been picked as well. And oh dear, and I've got there we go. Make sure I type him in properly, otherwise someone will go, "Oh, you spelled his name wrong." Javier Mascherano. Let's talk about Javier Mascherano, Mark. Go on in.
Yeah, so of course it was Hayden Mullins that kept him out of the team.
Yeah, clearly he was a far more superior player.
Obviously, there's reasons for it, and it's settling down in a new country and everything else. But just what he went on to achieve, and who he played for, Liverpool and Barcelona, and the medals and the trophies.
What a great player he was, because it's like it was, and just that whole weirdness of that transfer, and him and Tevez turning up and out of the blue, and it was a defining moment, I think, for West Ham, because we were like catapulted into these sort of like we do these types of transfers now, and it's quite funny. I've interviewed a lot of players who have been around that time, some squad players, some first team players, and I asked them about that, and they were just as shocked as we were. Just they turn up at Chadwell Heath one day, and there's these two Argentinian internationals just turn up bundled out of a car, look like they've been hostage, and because like, eyes were like creeping open, and Pardew over the top thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with these two. But it was a shame, because obviously he was such a good player, but I think in terms of both of them, I think Mascherano was the one who took English lessons and like really wanted to learn the English language. I don't think Tevez was so much, but Mascherano was, and obviously he then went on to have a fantastic career at Liverpool and Barcelona, and clearly had a better career than Hayden Mullins, bless him. But not in the eyes of Mr. Pardew, the new man. What's he now? What's part? He's he technical director for CSK Sofia or something like that. He's just got a new job, I think, Alan. Yeah, he was manager at he's the new technical director of CSKA Sofia. He was at somewhere in, where was he at? He was at Den Haag recently. Yeah, so funny, brilliant, so random, but yeah, good old Pards. He knows talent when he sees it. So yeah. Right, okay, Mascherano's in. Who's next then, Mark?
Okay, now this player is going to look out of place, given that it's a gone too soon team.
Yeah,
but it's Trevor Brooking, because I can't not have Trevor Brooking, can I? But he retired too soon. I only got him to see him play 5 times, because he was out for the whole season, the first season that started going, following the injury that kept him out the World Cup pretty much. I saw him play 5 times, but I saw him score a goal. And funny enough, it was a header against Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I believe that was the 10th of May. I think it was 83. So it was like 3 years on from the day of the cup final. And he was scoring against Arsenal again with a header. I remember it was almost on the goal line. In fact, I think he had the white goal line chalk on his shirt when he picked himself up from scoring his header against Arsenal in the league match. I think West Ham won 3-1. And fantastic. I was fortunate enough to be I went to his final appearance as well. And I think there was an additional 10,000 at that game on the previous home match attendance for Trevor Brooking's last match. So I've got fond memories of the matches that I did see him play, but there was only 5 of them. So on that basis, I can put them in the gone too soon team.
Definitely. And as a manager as well. You know what I mean? Arguably he had was gone too soon as a caretaker manager, because he that sort of when he took over, I always had those visions of him like doing his thing with his hands, like almost like David Pleat-esque. Remember when he scored that goal and they were running, he ran like in the 80s when he was running across the pitch. That's almost like Trevor was. He really, he could tell he loved that. He loves, like, it must be, it's same as us. If we send the tune, on Wednesday, Moyes is bit out again. Off you go, Mark up. You'll be exactly the same as Trevor Brooking would as a fan, and I get that. He's retired too soon, because obviously he only played one game in the 82-83 season as well, if I remember. Again, because I was doing all the stats. So as you said, he was just got injured and it just didn't, obviously that season, and shame. That's a shame. But obviously, he got to see him. At least you got to see your hero play. Do you know what I mean? It's he's always got that.
That one game that you're talking about in that following season that he played, funny enough, I think that was against Arsenal as well. I think he lost 3-1. I think Van der Elst might have got the West Ham goal, but there's certainly something between Trevor Brooking and Arsenal with the games that I saw him play, and of course the cup final as well. So
of course.
And just on Trevor Brooking, what was manager? It wasn't a game that I went to, but I remember watching on TV the game at Man City. So Kevin Keegan was manager of Man City at the time. So of course you had Brooking and Keegan, friends from their England days, both in the dugout. And I remember that Trevor Brooking was just walking over and talking to Kevin Keegan throughout, and Kevin Keegan was sort of laughing, saying, "Yeah, that's great, that's great, Trev," but pointing out the areas, the technical areas he's got to stay in. Trevor had no idea it was technical areas. He was just happy to wander across and speak to whoever he wanted. But
such a nice bloke. You just allow it, wouldn't you? You'd allow it with Trevor. Right, okay. Up front then, Mark. Who have we got first up front?
Just before we move on to up front, I can't believe I didn't get Liam Brady in the midfield, but I'll stick to what I've got. But Liam Brady was unfortunate not to make the midfield there. But up front, I'll go with Carlos Tevez. Yes. Right, we put him down. Right, sold too soon.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? He's incredible how little games he played and how much of an impact he had on the history of West Ham in terms of the modern history, isn't it? So, he played a very, very small number of and to be honest, to be perfectly fair, he probably only turned up for the last sort of 6 months, really, wasn't it? It was, he wasn't great. He was trying to do far too much when he first joined. And then obviously Curbs coming in, a bit like how Moisey did it with Arnautovic and Antonio, really. You don't run about. You stay in that final third. We'll kick the ball up to you, and then you do your stuff. He was just a very special player, wasn't he? He was, and obviously he had a very special bond with the fans. He brought that back, didn't he, when he came back from Man United? I don't remember doing that until he came back to Man United. So it's just always ironic. But I mean, he was someone, because we interviewed Anton Ferdinand, and Anton told a story about Carlos, where obviously Mascherano, as I said, was learning English and taking English lessons. Carlos didn't. He literally brought his interpreter everywhere, but he always wanted to be involved with like the boys. They'd be going on nights out in London, in nightclubs, and he would bring his interpreter on the dance floor with him to communicate with Anton. Stuff like that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I remember that Tottenham game where he scored his first goal, and he was like, if I remember beforehand, he was hitting the post, just missing, basically what West Ham are doing now, you know, not necessarily scoring the goals, but just being ever so close, you know, falling over. And, you know, and then when that goal came in, just that relief and how he jumped in the crowd, and such an iconic moment that was. Top
Brilliant.
guy. Yeah, lovely bloke. And he just said full of joy, wasn't he? You know, some players you watch and he loved the game. He loved playing football. You could see it in his expression. He always wanted to play the ball and stuff. And you like it when players seem to be enjoying themselves when they're playing. And he was one of them. But yeah, Carlitos Tevez. Right. We've got one more spot, Mark. Who's going to be? Jonathan Cleary? What?
Yeah, and to be fair, we were sport for choice, really, because you think of players that we signed late in their careers, Teddy Sheringham, Les Ferdinand, Ian Wright, Davos Suker. But despite all that, I think Dean Ashton. Such a shame.
Yeah.
We didn't get more out of Dean Ashton. And you know, the injury he picked up while training for England. It's just the West Ham way, isn't it? It's, you know, got a player being picked for England again, and he just had the cup final and looked fantastic player. Yeah,
it's typical West Ham. You know, isn't Sean Wright-Phillips the smallest player ever to play for England or something like that? It's like and so he hopples our player. It's really funny. I still can't watch anything with him on the telly without feeling anger towards him. It's really funny. I really have just this irrational hatred of Sean Wright-Phillips. But yeah, Ashton was a class act, wasn't he? He was a classy striker. He had it all. Didn't he, mate? Had everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was brilliant. He was the complete striker. He could play. He could hold it up. He had a turn of pace. He had a trick on him. He had a shot. He could header. He could hold it up. He could bring people in. He was just. It's a shame because this is not even for West Ham, but a shame for England because him and Rooney would have been up front together for England and probably Man United eventually. He's a Glen Johnson type thing. I think if he was still, he wouldn't have been with us for so long. But yeah, he was brilliant, wasn't he? Sort of that modern, he was like, people look at Harry Kane and his goal record, but Ashton, he didn't have a patch on Ashton. Harry Kane. He was just
absolutely. I agree.
He was absolutely skillful, brilliant man. Yeah, and that's the 11 mark. God, I like that. Yeah. That was a good theme. I like that. It was really fun. Gone too soon. Not too soon.
Team, is it?
No, it's a good team. I mean, funny. That's in their pomp. That team, strong centre back. Strong back four. We want to get Sealey in his pomp. Bless him. The rest of his soul, obviously Rob Lee, again, his Newcastle days, I'm taking him on this. Paulo Futre, Mascherano, Brooking, Tevez and Ashton. Oh, it would give our team a run for their money at the moment. I'll tell you for that. Definitely. Mark, it's been absolutely lovely. Yeah, it might cost a bit. We'd have to, season ticket prices might be going up because of it, but it doesn't matter. It's been lovely chatting, Mark. It's been lovely. Thank you. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And obviously thank you to everyone for listening as well, watching. Whatever you do, wherever you listen to it, give it a share, give it a like, subscribe, yada. And until next time, from myself and from Mark, take care, everyone. Stay safe, wash those hands, come on you irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Much love.